Columbia, and it's a beautiful day at Williams-Brice Stadium as the South Carolina Gamecocks welcome the Oklahoma Sooners to the Palmetto State for the first time ever. We've got some coaching changes on the offensive line this week. Fired up to try to get their best up front. And the State Fair is next door. This is SEC Network Football presented by Allstate. ESPN College Football welcomes you to Williams-Brice Stadium. The South Carolina Gamecocks and the Oklahoma Sooners. He's the College Football Hall of Famer, Matt Stinchcomb. I'm Taylor Zarzer. Alyssa Lang's on the field. We'll see her in just a second. Oklahoma lost to Texas last week. That's the bad news. The good news is Oklahoma, after playing Texas in this century, has been terrific. 24-2 in the next game. But they lost one of those two last year in Norman to these Gamecocks.
Yeah, this is the bunch that tripped them up a season ago, and both these teams recognize this is a big game for them because it sets the tone for the second half of the season right as they start to enter into the meat of their schedule. A lot of conference games in front of both of them.
South Carolina won out in the regular season last year after beating the Sooners, but offensive line issues, I know that makes you cringe. They're a problem for both teams right now.
Yeah, Oklahoma last time out versus Texas allowed their quarterback John Mateer, who was coming back from that hand surgery, to be sacked 5 times. Then they've had to kind of rotate some guys up front. The right tackle, Derek Simmons, left that game injured. He's expected to play today. South Carolina, same thing. Different personnel. We'll expect 2 different starters, both at center and at left guard for the Gamecocks. And as you mentioned, maybe the biggest change, new offensive line coach, the former offensive line coach and interim head coach, Sean Elliott, taking over that front.
More on him in just a second. First, these are the guys that are playing quarterback. John Mateer for the Sooners, Lenoris Sellers for the Gamecocks, 2 of the very best in all of college football. Sellers needs some help, though, and for more on that, we go down to Alyssa Lang.
Thanks, Taylor. Since you mentioned it, new offensive line coach for South Carolina this week after Shane Beamer moved on from Lonnie Teasley last Sunday. It is Sean Elliott, who's known for his passionate and fiery demeanor. Watch him during warm-ups with this O-line group, who we were told has responded well to his energy. Shane telling us that this was what this group needed. Practice-wise, meeting-wise, it was the best week that the entire O-line room had had all season long. The big focus for them, cutting down on pre-snap penalties. Sean Elliott has been vocal in the faces of these guys all week long to help get them ready to do that.
Langer, your college football journey isn't complete until you've seen this. Sandstorm at South Carolina. South Carolina won the toss deferred. OU receives, and they will get it at the 25-yard line. We were just talking about John Mateer in the open, Stinch. What a terrific start he had in his first few games, but then he had surgery on his right throwing hand on September 24th, fractured a bone in the first quarter against Auburn 4 days earlier, came back last week against Texas, threw 3 interceptions, but he's practiced this week, and they expect that rust to be gone here in Columbia.
He was reportedly on a pitch count in practice in preparation for the Red River rivalry. Apparently this week he was full go in preparation for this one.
How much does he lean on the ground game today? On the first play, fakes to Blaylock, throws behind his intended target over the middle. Isaiah Satania has become his favorite target in recent weeks, but that was off target, incomplete.
And the story in this game, as you mentioned, see if they try to run it. There's just been very limited production from the ground game. That's a lot of pressure on John Mateer at quarterback and this wide receiving core. Can the Sooners get their downhill running game established in this game?
Empty backfield on 2nd and 10. Mateer throws, good ball to Deion Burks, and Burks gets up to the 29-yard line. We do have a flag. Today's referee is Lee Hedrick.
Holding on the offense, number 56, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot with the replay of second down.
Stench, that's the true freshman left tackle, Michael Fasusi.
Yeah, had to step into service early this season due to an injury of the intended starter in front of him, and he's working against Brian Thomas Jr., who's had a really strong season, opposite Dylan Stewart, who was the standout breakout star as a true freshman. And the crowd already very much engaged in this one,
which hasn't really been a factor for the Sooners yet this year. On 2nd and 20, it's Blaylock breaking tackles into the Gamecocks secondary. And from 2nd and 20, it'll be 3rd and 2. J.R. Johnson on the tackle.
He's just trying to be conservative right here. You don't want to lose any more ground. Great job up front, just covering up defenders. And Blaylock, much has been made about the ground game. Maybe the only bright spot this season for the Sooner rushing offense.
Split field at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas last week. Played at Temple. No disrespect to the Owls. That wasn't really raucous. This is on Oklahoma's first 3rd down. And on 3rd and 2, a good ball and a first down ball to Burks, who turns and makes a cut to the South Carolina bench. It'll be a pickup of 11 for the senior transfer from Purdue.
Deion Burks, Isaiah Satania already with targets in this game. That will be heightened because no Keontez Lewis available at wide receiver for the Sooners. In this one, he was one of the more targeted receivers in the 3rd down passing game, a trusted receiver at that. We'll see more from Burks, expect more from Satania, and Jaron Kanik at tight end, number 12.
Up to their own 44, Mateer will throw, and that's caught at the 48 by Giovanni Gibson, who's tackled immediately by Judge Collier. It's a 5-yard pickup for Gibson. Could see more of him today too, Matt, given that Keontez Lewis
for a defensive injury
is not available for Oklahoma. Dylan Stewart calls that whistle. He is on his feet now, though.
Obviously, the South Carolina sideline holding their collective breath. Dylan Stewart, one of the stalwarts on that defensive front. Judge Collier, they're glad to have him back in that defensive secondary. Was out for much of September with an injury. Did a good job of driving on that previous possession, on the previous catch there.
2nd and 5 for the Sooners near midfield. Mateer, plenty of time, slings it for a first down into Gamecocks territory. That's the big tight end you were talking about, Matt. Jaron Kanik, the senior from Hays, Kansas, picks up 16.
Well, just quite the story. A former linebacker makes the transition to tight end. He's been incredibly productive coming into this one. 23 catches, nearly 350 yards before that one. Right now, Oklahoma, outside of that 2nd down run, they were able to pop Torrey Blaylock. It's all been through the air. I mean, empty backfields, 4 wide receiver sets.
18-yard run, 11-yard catch, 16-yard catch, and suddenly the Sooners down at the Gamecocks 35-yard line. Mateer will hand it off, and it's Blaylock who tries to get the edge. Wrapped up by Collier on the play, 2nd down.
Good job that time just fielding this one. You see Mateer, you see it, thankfully, that snap a little bit off and to his right, but that was the direction. The back was offset to his right. You see that, sometimes the center quarterback exchange is the most important pass that happens in every snap. Good job by Mateer fielding that one cleanly.
Matt, we haven't seen Dylan Stewart out there since he came off the field a few plays ago. Manoa Lissa's checking on that. On 2nd and 7, here's a design quarterback run, and Mateer runs into Gamecock defenders just short of the first down inside the 27-yard line.
We saw that last week. People had questions about that surgically repaired hand. They ran Mateer early, and he's active already in this one.
And going quickly, throwing a line of scrimmage ball to Gibson, and Gibson gets the first. Got a block out there on the edge. Needed a couple of yards and got one extra.
To get that ball out quickly. And so far, it's just no ill effects. Outside of that very first play of the game, ball was a little bit behind Satania. Otherwise, John Mateer looks like he is full speed in this ball game.
Dylan Stewart is behind the bench talking to trainers right now off of the field. Keep you updated and see if Stewart can get back in there. It's 1st and 10 Sooners at the South Carolina 24. Blaylock and the freshman. It gets down to the 18. Alyssa, what's going on with Stewart?
Yeah, I'm standing down here watching him, guys. He looks frustrated. He's been motioning towards that right hip, trying to sort of work that out. He actually has his hand on it right now as he's walking down the sidelines with the trainer. I'll keep you posted.
Meanwhile, the Sooners get into the South Carolina red zone. Oklahoma's 20 for 20 in the red zone this year. They've scored 15 touchdowns.
Incredibly efficient in this part of the field, something that plagued South Carolina a week ago in this part.
Mateer hands to Blaylock, who gets the edge and gets the end zone. 18 yards, and the Sooners strike first.
Great job bouncing this run by Blaylock. So he presses the hole inside and then bounces it outside, pulls those defenders inside. No edge support on that one. Judge Collier did a good job earlier on pass defense. That time in run support just got sucked too far inside.
Tate Sandell makes it 7-0. There's been so much talk about Jaden Ott in the running game. How about the true freshman from Humble, Texas? Tory Blaylock puts the Sooners on the board. Oklahoma had 48 yards rushing against Texas last week. They had 50 on the first drive, in part because that man was not on the field for all of it. Dylan Stewart's going to the locker room. The great pass rusher for the Gamecocks, a sophomore from Washington, D.C., preseason All-American, leaving the field, and that is not what Shane Beamer wants to see, Matt.
No, looked dejected, really. Moving kind of slowly. The biggest thing on that drive was that 2nd and 20, allowing Tory Blaylock to pop one for 18 yards to get it to 3rd and manageable. And as you mentioned, the ground game contributed mightily on that drive.
Sandell's kick will go through the end zone, and South Carolina comes out at the 25-yard line.
So you think about the 2nd 20. How about this touchdown run, though? Watch Blaylock press that hole. It pulls defenders inside. Then they just can't rally back outside. Good job bouncing that run to the perimeter, finding his way into the end zone. How about this look at it? Scores a touchdown, ends up sitting next to you on the couch. That's right into your living room.
And now you get to watch Lenoris Sellers, one of the best in the game, the redshirt sophomore from Florence, South Carolina, first-team All-SEC preseason, freshman All-America last year. It's a pop pass to Nick Harbor, and the big man is near a first down. He gets 9 yards. That counts as a catch for the junior from Washington, D.C., the world-class track star who's given that up for football. Sellers, everybody has talked so much about him and his accolades. Just needs some help from those offensive linemen. Sellers holds it, throws it, and it's a first down up to the 44, and it's Harbor again. 9 yards on the first play, 11 on the next.
And look at the tempo that South Carolina is playing with, getting the ball out quickly on the first one. That time Sellers had to hitch before he could jam one in there to Nick Harbor. Great hands catch by number 8. Big body over the middle there.
That's the key, too. Those hands have gotten better and better as he keeps playing football, and that's Rasul Faison, graduate player from Pennsylvania, 24 years old. See a lot of him today. Some of Matt Fuller, who had the 72-yard touchdown run last week against LSU. And Oscar Attaway should be involved as well in the Gamecocks backfield. Faison picked up 2. On 2nd and 8, a line of scrimmage ball. Sellers gets it out there into Oklahoma territory, and his brother, Jaden, brings players down the field short of a first down. It's the first Lenoris to Jaden connection, as you see Boaz Stanley, the center that had the snap issues last week, Matt.
He had to come in relief of Rod Newsom, who got the start at center. He's in there, and then Nick Sharp, number 52, transfer from Wake Forest, big body, more of a road grader. They're trying to establish a little bit more of an edge along that offensive front.
It's 3rd and 3, and they go to the ground and fighting for the first down. It looks like Faison is short. He gets to the 45 where R. Mason Thomas made the stop. And what does Oklahoma do here?
That was a great job of squeezing down. R. Mason Thomas ends up making that play initially. Good job by Kendall Daniels as well to clean up. And it looks like South Carolina seeking to be aggressive here on this 4th down. Maybe even trusting those two new faces in the inside of that defensive front.
Gamecocks are 6 of 13 on 4th down this year, and they'll go with the fullback. It's a first down. Rasul Faison inside the 10.
Oklahoma was loaded up. 6'2" front, 6 big bodies. Great job on the right side. Trevon Baugh and Boaz Stanley both. Great job.
Timeout for a defensive injury.
Good job by Rasul Faison, just trusting it. Pops that. The problem with the short yardage defense, you commit so many bodies to the line of scrimmage, you can get an explosive run.
It's his longest run of the season. That's Gentry Williams on the field for Oklahoma. Wow, what a slate of SEC football today. On SEC Network, it continues at 4:15 Eastern with Florida against Mississippi State in the Swamp. And then tonight on the Plains, it's Auburn hosting number 16, Missouri. Of course, it's available on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Matt, first time ever, all 16 teams in the SEC playing each other, and it's the only time it'll happen this year. Here it's South Carolina versus Oklahoma. Brent Venables' defense has been outstanding in the first half this year, but their backs are up against it as the Gamecocks have a 1st and goal at the 9. Now, last week in LSU, South Carolina was inside the Bengal Tigers' 40-yard line 4 times. They scored 3 points.
There's a point of emphasis in our meetings. They were talking about it already in this season. South Carolina offensively, in their 12 trips to the red zone, 3 empty possessions, 3 field goals. You got to come away with 6s when you get in this part of the field.
Faison got him down here, and he gets the carry on 1st and goal and bangs into Sooners down near the 6.
Great job on the backside seal. Faison just turns that into a downhill run. Already, Taylor, you can see the Gamecocks intent in getting the ground game going. Both of these offenses in this contest have struggled in the running game. Last week, South Carolina is able to rip off a big run. Obviously, that 3rd down, the big 36-yarder from Faison.
At the 6, it's Faison again, and he's down to the 4. Crushed by Jaden Jackson, where it'll be 3rd and goal. Oklahoma, how about that? 1 touchdown allowed in the first half this year. The Sooner defense has only allowed 4 total on defense this season.
5 touchdowns against the Sooners all season. Last week, obviously, that punt return. And you can see Oklahoma, late substitution. They can do that. South Carolina substituted as well. Big, heavy personnel for South Carolina.
We haven't seen Sellers' legs yet. And he hands it off, and it's a tackle for loss. Kendall Daniels. And the Gamecocks are backed up outside the 5, where it's 4th down. Not see William Joyce coming out yet. And the Gamecock offense is staying out there on this 4th and goal.
This is one of the things that they had to guard against. Oklahoma's one of the best negative yardage defenses in all of the country, but not dissuaded. Staying aggressive on this 4th down.
10th play of the drive. Sellers in trouble. Tries to get out of there and can't get to the goal line. Oklahoma makes a stand. Taylor Wine with the touchdown-saving tackle. Brent Venables' defense holds in a goal-to-go situation. It's a turnover on downs, and the Sooners get it back in Columbia.
Welcome back to Columbia, where the Oklahoma offense will take over after a turnover on downs. Big story for South Carolina's defense after Dylan Stewart left the field and went to the locker room after that first Oklahoma drive. I'm told he went to the locker room dealing with a flexor issue. They iced it to see how comfortable he was. He was just on the bike, and now I'm standing here behind the sidelines watching him jog and try to stretch that hip flexor out. Still looks a little uncomfortable, but I'm told he's trying to come back in.
Alyssa Desmond-Umazulu is out there in his place. And after the Sooners stand, they take over at their own 3. And Mateer will hand it to Blaylock, and Blaylock is loose again for another Oklahoma first down. We said it just a minute ago, Matt. Running the football has been a problem all season for Oklahoma, but they've been coming out gashing the Gamecocks.
Yeah, both these offenses really kind of counter to what we expected, and great job just hitting it downhill. You're coming out offense. So the biggest thing more than anything else is you got to get some room to operate. That's an excellent first down run for Blaylock to get right downhill in that A-gap. Good job by the interior of that Oklahoma offensive front, right there in that center guard gap.
Blaylock has 5 carries, 58 yards, and he won't get much here. Gets a couple of yards trying the right side, and Brandon Cisse, banged up last week, is at full speed today on the tackle.
That time, good job by Umazulu, who's in there at defensive end for the injured Dylan Stewart. Turn that run back inside to see if the South Carolina defense, the whole reason you go for it on 4th down is you feel like you're not forfeiting field position offensively. Can the defense answer for the Carolina offense?
Swing it to Blaylock out of the backfield, and not much doing on the other side as he gets up near the 19-yard line. Justin Okoronkwo on the tackle to be 3rd and long. Dylan Stewart still on the bike, and the Gamecock defense out there without him.
The first 3rd and long that Oklahoma has faced in this game so far.
Mateer. Pressure's handled, and it's a first down ball to Giovanni Gibson right in front of Judge Collier. The Sooners are 3 for 3 on 3rd down.
Really nice protection pickup that time. Both these defenses aren't scared to bring pressure. That time South Carolina brought 6 pass rushers in the Sooner front. That protection was able to absorb all of it. On time and accurate throw from John Mateer. Other than that first pass, first play of the game, number 10 for the Sooners looks settled.
It's Xavier Robinson that's in the backfield with Mateer. He gets the carry. He goes forward for a few with a flag coming in. Shane Beamer in his 5th season here in Columbia was the associate head coach in Norman prior to that.
There is no foul for an illegal block below the waist. The block was legal. It'll be 2nd down.
After some discussion, the play counts, and we mentioned Robinson coming in to spell Blaylock there, Matt. Jaden Ott is available as another running back, but has not factored in and only carried the ball 1 time last week against Texas. Blaylock back in on the 2nd and 6. And Torrey is caught at the 31 by Sean Murphy. Junior from Virginia that started the first 3 has come off the bench in the last 4.
Really well diagnosed by Sean Murphy, and good job of jetting that gap. Jake Maikukla at that center spot just couldn't get disengaged quickly enough before Murphy was able to get in there and make the play in the backfield.
It's 3rd and 5, and the Sooners are perfect on this down today. Mateer On the move, makes the catch, but it's short. Giovanni Gibson diving catch, a yard short of the first down.
Throwing on the move that time, move that pocket, try to diffuse some of the pressure packages that South Carolina brings. But as you mentioned, just shy. That ball a little bit low. No chance for Gibson to run through that one.
And let's watch what happens here as South Carolina tries to field this punt. Grayson Miller will come onto the field to punt it. And back deep, it's Jalen Kilgore, not Bakari Swain. Swain is playing on defense, but he dislocated a finger in practice this week and is not out there to catch this punt.
Delay of game on the offense, 5-yard penalty, and it remains 4th down.
5 more yards. It's 4th and 6 instead of 4th and 1. Now, Kilgore was supposed to be the starting punter this year, Matt. He hurt his hamstring before the Virginia Tech game, and now he's coming out, and here comes Swain.
Interesting, because you think, it's not a huge difference. They take that delay of game, of course. Defense does its job for South Carolina.
Look at
you
that.
See that taped up hand.
Yeah, I was just going to say, mention that it's taped up on the left side. You were watching it in warmups. He continued to nurse those fingers in warmups today.
False start on the offense, number 13. That's a 5-yard penalty. It remains 4th down.
Well, you have to wonder, Taylor, were they thinking of pressuring this punt? Because you could see South Carolina, they shifted and overloaded that right side of the protection for the Oklahoma punt team. That was more than enough to force them flinch along the line of scrimmage.
Swain has 3 punt returns for touchdowns this season, 1 against Virginia Tech, 2 against South Carolina State. And Miller does get the punt off. It's a short one. It takes a Oklahoma bounce. Swain off of the bounce is past midfield, wrestled down by his headgear in Oklahoma territory.
Well, the punt you don't want to kick to a guy with a hand injury is one that he could field off of the bounce. He can catch it into his body. So this ball was not well struck, and Swain, he could just run into that one. Don't have to catch it out of the air. An excellent field position now. So you think about the 4th down try if you're South Carolina. You're aggressive, your defense, you give up 1 first down, but you get the ball back-to-back penalties by the Sooners, and then you shank a punt, bounces to Swain, you get the ball at midfield.
It's a net of 23 yards, and it's Lenore Sellers running for the first time and losing one. Back to the 49-yard line. So he played the 2-man game with his brother there and kept it. Peyton Bowen stayed with Sellers and made the tackle.
So far, Taylor, in this game, you think back to the 4th down play, the challenge for the Sooners, maybe the biggest one, is can you get number 16 for South Carolina on the ground? He's such a powerful runner.
Sellers, pocket collapsing. Lenoris somehow stays on his feet and stiff arms Sooners and gets inside the 45. That was a muddy pocket, and somehow Lenoris escaped it. On the last play of the first quarter, it'll be 3rd down for the Gamecocks as we go to the 2nd frame. Oklahoma's up 7-0.
That is the end of the first quarter.
SEC football is presented by Allstate. You're in good hands. And in part by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. Alyssa Lang on the field with Shane Beamer.
What do you have to see from your offense to finish in the end zone?
They made a nice play on 3rd down. Linebacker ran through, and we didn't get to it. 4th down, we got beat in protection a little bit. I'm more concerned about defensively not doing our job. Right now, we're just too many mistakes on those first 2 drives. Freaking 2nd and 20, and we're in 3 deep coverage and let a guy run for 18 yards. I mean, that's what we got to be better, is just settle down. Everybody, don't try and do too much. Just do your job.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Option game while that was happening between Lenoris and his
Sideline
brother.
warning against Oklahoma.
Lenoris' brother Jaden, Oscar Attaway was the option pitch to Attaway. Lost yardage there, Matt, and now South Carolina will have to punt.
Yeah, very well defended by Oklahoma. Kind of surprised. That's what we attempted right there offensively. Good job by the Sooner defense, schooled up.
Mason Love punts it, and it's a fair catch there by Isaiah Satania inside the 10. And Sooners, for the second time in 3 possessions, will start inside the Gamecocks 10-yard line, or their own 10-yard line, I should say, backed up. But the Gamecocks have crossed the 50 twice and have no points. Similar story to last week.
Yeah, different week, right? Similar result. Got to be a little bit frustrated when you get into that positive territory, the plus side of the field, find a way to capitalize on it. They have been able to. You think about the 4th down attempt, and you start that offensive drive for Oklahoma deep in their own territory. Defense did its job, but the Sooners come right back out, get the football, albeit deep in their own, just out of the shadows of their own goalpost.
Gamecocks defense doing their job without Dylan Stewart on the field, and Torrey Blaylock runs right at the Gamecock defense to the 13, Alyssa.
Guys, I just watched Dylan Stewart get off the bike, put his helmet on, and he is standing up on the sidelines right now. He's been jogging in place, so it looks like he's in a position to potentially get back into this game.
All right, we'll be watching.
You can see him on the sidelines. He was working on his get-off, coming out of his stance. They don't always put him down with his hand on the ground. Sometimes he plays with his hand up, just standing there in a 2-point stance. He does get back in there, see how they align it.
Mateer on 2nd and 5 moves the pocket, and it's a good ball right near a first down. It's Giovanni Gibson. Looks like he's right at the marker.
It's a couple of targets now for Gibson. It looks like it was enough to pick up the first down. Similar to the Sooner possession previously. They pick up that first down, and they're coming out offense. That is key. You got to give yourself room. They're able to do that. Took a couple more plays this time, and Gibson emerging in this game, perhaps in the absence of Keontez Lewis, is one of the targets.
Mateer hands it to Blaylock, and Torrey bounces off Gamecocks to the 21-yard line, where he's tackled by Judge Collier. Blaylock, the freshman from Humble, Texas, at 100 yards and 2 touchdowns at Temple earlier this year. He's the son of 7-year NFL running back Derek Blaylock. Coach Venables has been raving about him. Even if Coach Venables has asked about another running back, he talks about Torrey Blaylock. Mateer throws, and it's a wide ball, incomplete to Isaiah Satania. It'll be 3rd and 7.
He went to the right spot. As you see Dylan Stewart coming in for this 3rd down. So maybe this is how they'll manage that injury. Put him in on these 3rd and throw type of scenarios. Allow him to rush the passer. He's at the top of your screen at the end of that line of scrimmage, opposite of Brian Thomas, right there in the middle of the field at defensive end.
What kind of impact does number 6 make at the top of your screen?
Timeout, Oklahoma. This is their first charge timeout of the half.
You can tell those offensive linemen were ready for some Gamecocks pressure there.
Well, and you think the right tackle, Derek Simmons, in there injured versus Texas. He would have been matched up with Stewart.
3rd and 7 for the Sooners in just a moment. Sooners and Gamecocks have had some hardware through the years in the backfield. Billy Vessels for the Sooners back in the 50s. Steve Owens in the late 60s. Billy Sims about a decade after that. George Rogers 2 years later here in Columbia, all winning the Heisman Trophy. And there's DeMarco Murray. He's the running backs coach. One of the best Sooner runners ever. Watching his offense on a 3rd and 7. John Mateer is a threat to run it. Torrey Blaylock next to him. And Dylan Stewart back in the game for South Carolina. Hold the phone. Here's a whistle.
Timeout, South Carolina. This is their first charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
We mentioned all that hardware, Matt, that these two teams have won with the Heisman Trophy in the backfield. DeMarco Murray certainly one of the best coaches, or best players, I should say, in Oklahoma history. In the ground game, we'll get to him in a minute. Tonight after primetime game between number 16 Missouri and Auburn, we'll have SEC football final with Dari Noko, Chris Doering, and Benjamin Watson here on the SEC Network. They'll take you through the biggest stories of the day and break down all the games. It's available on the all-new ESPN app. All 16 teams playing each other. Vandy leads LSU 14-10. What do you think DeMarco Murray, offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle, and Brent Venables do on this 3rd and 7?
Well, I think that the running back's going to be a protector right here. Isaiah Satania hasn't gotten a target since the opening possession. He's lined up at the bottom of your screen. He's the #1 targeted receiver in this offense on 3rd down.
On 3rd and 7, Mateer throws off his back foot. It's caught by the man Stink said they'd go to for a 1st down after he put his foot in the grass and made a cut back towards the seam for 10 yards.
South Carolina brought
Come
pressure.
out for a defensive injury.
There's an injury on the field. Dylan Stewart down on the field after this one. They went to Satania, got the ball out quickly. Great run after the catch by the Arkansas transfer. And Dylan Stewart came in for that 3rd down. A couple of timeouts and some frustration, obviously, by the South Carolina Gamecocks. See one of their best players on the turf.
It's just the last thing any South Carolina fan wants to see. Injured on the 1st drive, comes back into the game on this play, and immediately went to the ground. As Derek Simmons was working on him there, Stinch.
Yeah, you could see. I mean, Simmons was almost concerned. You could see he's, whatever that strain is or the injury is by Stewart. And he probably took 2 or 3 steps out of his stance and then went to the ground. Didn't even really complete that snap. And that is a major blow for the South Carolina defense, who, by the way, that defensive tackle rotation is somewhat limited as well. So the interior, they're saying we might have to slide some of our edge rushers inside. Well, now you're down your best performer, maybe defensively and certainly from that edge rusher position.
And he's a stoic guy, too. You saw that passion coming out of him there.
Yeah,
Jawing some with Oklahoma players who can understand the frustration as he's off the field. And the Sooners have a fresh set of downs at their own 32. Mateer, Blaylock, and Torrey ahead to the 38, where DQ Smith makes the tackle.
That's a really patient run by Blaylock. Well, I'm impressed by this young running back. You can see him. He sets up his blocks well. That time, just a little bit of a stutter step. Buys that 2nd-level defender to bite inside.
Line of scrimmage ball. Mateer throws to Satania, and Satania has a 1st down up near midfield, straddling the sideline up to the 46, where he's pushed out by Gerald Kilgore. Satania has come on in the last month. In the last 4 games, he has 24 catches and 3 touchdowns.
You can see him now emerging, right? We talked about it a second ago. Got that early target. The ball was behind him on the very first play of the game and hadn't seen him since. Showed up big on that 3rd down and now again on this conversion. And in the ground game, Torrey Blaylock closing in on his season high. He went for 100 earlier this year. He's got 77 already in this game.
That's Xavier Robinson who's free. And that's a 1st down run around the edge. Pushed out by Collier, but another Sooner 1st down, and the Sooner ground game is the story in the 1st half.
Well, watch this. So you end up, you're slicing upfield too far upfield. There's no edge to that defense, meaning there's no defender out there to turn the runner back inside.
25 yards on the last play, and Robinson gets it again and gets down inside the 25 to the 24. There's a Gamecock. I believe that's Umazulu.
Time out for a defensive injury.
Umazulu came in the game for Dylan Stewart, and he's on a knee at the 32. Three-year rotational player, Matt, from Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
The challenge, the awareness that you have to have a little bit. We mentioned South Carolina shorthanded, especially along that defensive front. Defensive tackle was the question mark, and now you see Umazula, he's coming out. Dylan Stewart looks like he's probably done. He's certainly banged up, but the plays are piling up now. So you've got 26 offensive snaps for Oklahoma, but a lot of these on the ground, these longer drives, a 10-play drive, a 7-play drive, a 9-play drive now in the backup. So you don't have a ton of rotation along that defensive front.
Jatius Gear is out there. Of course, Brian Thomas is on the other side where Stewart typically operates. 2nd and 6, Oklahoma. Inside the Gamecocks 25. Laylock and Robinson have got the Sooners down to this point. And now Mateer will throw. One-on-one ball incomplete over the head of Giovanni Gibson. Good coverage down there by Miles Norwood, 3rd down.
And as we mentioned earlier, so they haven't faced a lot of these 3rd and longs. They've managed them well, and of course, some of the teeth removed from that South Carolina rush without a Dylan Stewart carving off of that edge. And now, of course, no Yuma Zulu off the edge as well. So you got a couple of backups. Obviously, you got Brian Thomas still out there, but that allows you to focus your protection towards number 46 and Thomas.
Mateer moves the pocket and throws, and it's a good ball to Burks. And that's another Sooner 1st down. They're 5 of 6 moving the chains on 3rd down in the 1st half.
They've been really strong, and you look at Mateer. We talked about him earlier. Outside of that first throw, he's looked really good. And they're going fast now in the red zone.
Fake to Robinson. It's Satania. And he's tackled just outside the 10 by DQ Smith. You know, we wondered, Matt, about Jaden Ott's availability for Oklahoma today. He was supposed to be the featured back in this Oklahoma offense, but it's been Laylock and Robinson that have gotten them down to this point.
Yeah, you get going a little bit, get the 3rd down conversion, a couple of throws to Satania. But right now, the Oklahoma offense has got South Carolina very much on their heels, working sideline to sideline.
13th play of the drive. Robinson had trouble fielding the snap and then scores. Wasn't the cleanest handoff from Mateer to Robinson, but it didn't matter.
Great job of actually just handling this football. Because as you mentioned, that ball's bobbled. Almost count that as a reception. Great job by Robinson sticking with it. An even better job by that Oklahoma Sooner offensive front, that interior portion of the line getting push so Robinson could get it in the end zone.
Sandell makes it 14-0. 13-play drive. Torrey Blaylock, the true freshman, scored the first one. Sophomore Xavier Robinson scores the second one. Sooners up 2 touchdowns. This is the SEC Network football weekday lineup. From Monday reactions to Friday previews, we have you covered throughout the season. Every show also available streaming on the all-new ESPN app. LSU and Vandy in a good one, and Nashville, South Carolina down 2 scores to the Oklahoma ground attack here in Columbia. The other 6 games to follow later on. 3 of them in the mid-afternoon and 3 of them tonight. How about Oklahoma's offense? Ben Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator in the red zone, has been terrific. 17 touchdowns and perfect 22 of 22. Sandell's kicked field goals the 5 times that they haven't gotten it into the end zone. Arbuckle in his first season as the offensive coordinator, coming over from Washington State. Harbor will let that go through, and South Carolina's at the 25-yard line. Brent Venables was at Clemson, and he had a 7-2 record against South Carolina as the defensive coordinator there. 4-1 here in Columbia, winning a couple of national championships as the defensive coordinator there in a 10-year span. That's how he's known in this state. And of course, he's in his 4th season as the head coach at OU, 27-18 record, 6-7, 10-3, 6-7, and now 5-1, ranked 14th in the country in year number 4. One of the best defensive minds there is in the game. Lenoris Sellers is under pressure. And he'll just go out of bounds and lose 5 yards on the play. PJ Adibarawa was right there with him, and that'll count as a sack.
You end up with those negative yardage plays. He gets that pressure, and it was right on the inside. You know, the challenge when you've got a mobile quarterback, if you can pressure them inside out, because what you don't want is a mobile quarterback like Lenoris Sellers to puncture that pocket vertically. It's just as good as a run. But if you get that pressure inside out, it forces them to flush, forces those quarterbacks to flush out to the outside. The defense can rally.
On 2nd and 15, here comes more pressure, and Sellers can't escape. Grayson Holton with the sack inside the 10.
Now, Holton gets the sack, but it's really that you see running downhill, both linebackers right downhill. Confuses that protection on the inside. Kobe McKenzie leading the charge along with Kip Lewis. That's back-to-back plays where the South Carolina protection just doesn't hold up inside out. Sellers flushed on the first one, sacked on the second one. And this defense is outstanding at generating negative yardage plays.
3rd and 26 for Lenoris Sellers, who's just going to throw underneath, and it's going to be Faison with the catch to give them more room to punt up at the 15.
Now the fans don't like it. I don't know what the fans are watching, because what do you want to do? Drop back for 7 steps, throw a fun pass downfield and risk another sack? You got to be smart right there. Don't turn a bad possession into a catastrophic one. Punt the football away and see if your defense can't hold up. A great job by the Sooners defensively. We talked about it coming into this game. 46% of offensive snaps versus this Sooner D are for negative or 0 yards. That's outstanding.
Mason Love, a 39-yard punt the first time for the freshman. Satania waiting at his 40-yard line. Good punt by Love. Fair catch called by Satania at the 39. It's a 46-yard punt as a flag comes in here at the end of the play.
Because after the punt was caught, and I think it might end up being a late hit. Either way, it's going to be against Oklahoma.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the receiving team, number 14, throwing a player to the ground. 15-yard penalty, first down.
And that means that the Sooners will be backed up inside their own 30, but they're up 2 touchdowns in Columbia. How about the game plan for Ben Arbuckle so far, the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma in his first season, coming over from Washington State, where he coached John Mateer and Cam Ward. Of course, Ward now plays for the Tennessee Titans. I said, is Mateer as confident as you are? And Ward said, well, I don't know that anyone is, but he's a little crazy like I am. Obviously playing through the hand injury last week, handing it off quite a bit here in Columbia. In this game, Torrey Blaylock stands next to Mateer, and Torrey, the true freshman, gets the call here on first down. What do you make of Arbuckle's game plan to run the football here in the first half?
Yeah, they've been very successful in doing it, already eclipsing their season average. Coming into this game, not a highly ranked rushing offense, 13th coming in at 122 yards a game, already 130 in a quarter and a half.
And again, gets a couple of yards up to the 29-yard line where Nick Barrett makes the tackle. South Carolina's interior of their line, Stinch, has been banged up, but Barrett is good to go today, and they need him to step up here on this 3rd down.
Yeah, they need to find a way to get off the field. 3rd downs have been a nightmare. 5 of 6 already for the Sooners on this down.
Mateer still with 5 seconds on the play clock. And John goes right side, and that's almost picked off. Trying to get it to Satania, and Jalen Kilgore almost grabbed it. Instead, it falls to the ground, 4th down.
Well, they read their scouting report. They know where he's going to want to try to go with this football, get the ball out quickly. Satania, great job by Kilgore. He jumps that slant. And the Sooners lucky to retain possession, to have an opportunity to punt this football away. Jalen Kilgore nearly picks that football off. Excellent awareness by number 24.
Kilgore goes off the field. Vakari Swain goes back there to field this punt, and dealing with a dislocated finger that he suffered in practice this week. Miller punts away from Swain and punts into his own bench. It's a short punt, and South Carolina will have good field position.
That's really that's two bad punts out of Miller. One was a bouncer to Swain. Now, really good field position. And can the South Carolina offensive front regroup? You know, they got that new offensive line coach, and Sean Elliott, a familiar face around this program. He's trying to energize these guys. They got to find a way to not only protect their passer, be more productive on early downs, so they can get out of these 3rd and obvious passes.
Just a 19-yard punt. Sellers throws a line of scrimmage ball to the sideline, and out at the 40-yard line is where Jaden Sellers makes the grab, and the fans see a late flag.
Looks like, you know, Sellers got slung to the ground well after he's out of bounds.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the defense number 38, hit out of bounds. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run and carries an automatic 1st down.
That's a 5th penalty on Oklahoma for 50 yards.
That's 30 yards here just of late. A couple unnecessary roughness calls. You got one on the punt, and then clearly he's out of bounds. You know, you're looking at all your teammates. There's the chain gang. You should know, hey, maybe I'm out of bounds. I shouldn't throw this guy to the ground.
You know, well, Norris Sellers, I don't think shared many meals with little brother Jaden, but he's sharing the football with him here today. Norris has about 70 pounds on little brother. He keeps it here, and he gets inside the 20, down to the 18-yard line. We were wondering when we would see a design quarterback run called by Mike Shula. Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator and head coach for Oklahoma, says, it'd be great if LaNorris was just this or just that, but he's all of the above. On 2nd down, he throws. That's a high ball. Good catch made by Jacobs. And Vandravius is hit by Jaden Hardy.
Now, I don't know if that either. I don't know how this wasn't a penalty. At first, I thought he had a helmet opening, but instead, it looks like it's the nameplate. He did not pull him down backwards, but it definitely looked like maybe they're saying that he grabbed below that nameplate area. You know, regardless, a heck of a play by Jacobs, because Harbor did not get a good block.
It's 3rd down.
Please reset the play clock to 25 seconds. It was not put down above 25 seconds. We'll start on my signal.
There's Sean Elliott, the fiery offensive line coach, who was the tight ends coach before Lonnie Teasley was dismissed. Of course, he was a Spurrier assistant, the former interim head coach. On 3rd down, Matt Fuller, his first run, got a yard. He needed 2. Kobe McKenzie on the tackle. It's 4th down.
They brought in 2 tight ends, and now you see it. They saw it, went for it earlier on 4th down. That time they were much deeper in Oklahoma territory. As we've mentioned, the red zone has vexed this offense. That's the 6th tackle for loss by the Oklahoma Sooner defense. And this has been a problem area the last 2 times out for South Carolina.
On 4th and 2, Sellers keeps it. Sellers gets it out of bounds inside the 15.
That's a great block on the edge by Jordan Dingle. He had to hold up a long time.
Now, hold on a second. Let's see about this spot here.
Wow, they say he's out of bounds. They're saying that Sellers was short of the line to gain. The ball was in his right arm. It's where the ball
ruling
is.
On the field is that the runner was short of the line to gain. That play is now under video review.
Had to get to the 15-yard line. It certainly looked like he did. Yellow line, the yardage marker, the chain gang, all are positioned at the 15. Let's take another look.
I don't know. That ball's in his right arm. It's hard to get a shot at. If we had a down the line shot, the ball's in his right arm. He steps out of bounds. And it's where the ball is when he's established down or crossing that boundary.
I think there's some frustration there from Shane Beamer. Just put your head down, get the first down.
You can see Sellers, he kind of, he extended his left foot. That doesn't really matter. What matters is where that football is. Watch him extend the left foot late. The ball's in his right arm.
He did step on the 15-yard line, Matt, and that's exactly where he needed to get. Let's hear the call.
After review, it is a first down. The runner made the line to gain. The ball will be inside the 15-yard line. First down.
Massive call there for South Carolina.
Yeah, I'll say, we both thought it happened, that they got the conversion from up here. A great job by, as I mentioned, Jordan Dingle holding up. There's a long time out in space to be blocking. The tight end transfer from Kentucky that made that play possible. Everybody in the stadium, I think, is aware of the struggles that South Carolina has had offensively in the red zone. You're facing, potentially another give back. Instead, you get a fresh set of downs.
Oklahoma's allowed one touchdown in the first half of the season. 1st and 10 Gamecocks at their 15. Sellers, how does he get out of this? Again, he loses yardage. Kobe McKenzie wrestles him to the ground.
Well, again, he's running for his life. Last week he runs for all these yards, just trying to keep the ball alive. And sometimes you trust your legs a little bit too much. There's edge pressure right away. Nowhere to go with the football because he was flushing to the right, opposite of Nick Harbor. Sometimes you gotta burn the down. Just dirt that ball. Get it downfield. You're outside of the pocket, so that you don't have the negative yardage play.
Second time they could have done that and didn't. Now 2nd and 13. Sellers design quarterback run. Gets that yardage back. And Davon Jordan on the tackle. Will be 3rd and 10.
It was a nice block by Matt Fuller. One cut too many from Lenora Sellers. Just get downhill. Instead, he was trying to pick up another block on the second level to see if he could bounce it outside. Huge 3rd down. It's a full 10 yards and you still have to convert. You can get a first down still. But a huge 3rd down, and Oklahoma has heated up South Carolina on this down.
Sellers drifts back, throws to the back pylon. Incomplete. Flags everywhere.
Pass interference on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Pretty good pickup by South Carolina. Enough time for Sellers to get this ball off. And you see, just a big grab, an easy one, really, right there in the middle by Jaden Hardy. That held up Jacobs just enough.
Dead clock.
And they'll have 1st and goal at the 4. And Mr. Hidrick will turn his whistle off. Matt Fuller in the game had that 72-yard touchdown run against LSU last week. Sellers throws to the end zone. Incomplete. And Harbor had no chance on the ball. And Eli Bowen will be called for this one.
Pass interference on the defense, number 23. The foul occurred in the end zone, so therefore the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
I think sometimes when you're lined up opposite Nick Harbor, you have that, fight or flight survival instinct. This guy's 6'5". He is a unit. Eli Bowen is 5'9". So you're forfeiting about 8 inches already, probably another 40 pounds.
1st and goal from the 2. Fuller. Inside the 1. And that'll take us inside the 2-minute timeout.
2-minute timeout. Timer. Please reset the game clock to 1:58, 1:58.
Gamecocks have 2 minutes, 2 timeouts left, and they're on the doorstep against the Sooners. Look forward to it, PB. Here, the Gamecocks are on the doorstep, down 14-0. Sean Elliott, former interim head coach for the Gamecocks, an assistant, now the offensive line coach, hoping those guys can push around some Sooners here as Sellers is at the 1. Lenoris turns and hands, and it's Fuller, and he's short. Kendall Daniels and Jaden Jackson.
That's a heck of a job. You see whistles in there. Heck of a job by the Sooner defense. That's 220 pounds.
It's their second charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout. Timer, please reset the game clock to 1:52, 1:52.
It's a massive part in the game here, Matt, because South Carolina does get the football first to start the second half. So 7 points out of here is critical.
They got to have it. You know, this is a got to have it possession for South Carolina. You're able to march it down earlier. You came away empty-handed. You've had to fight, scratch, and claw. They had to review one, obviously, on the Lenoris Sellers run just to extend this drive. They were able to do that. And now the question becomes, you know, so your mindset here where it's third down. You tried the attitude run. Fuller kind of bounced it. You almost want to stay in behind those blockers. You wonder if the quarterback ends up keeping this football, and keep in mind, you've got a massive size advantage at the perimeter.
From the shotgun, Sellers hands it off. No.
Negative yardage plays, guys.
Taylor Wine on the tackle mat.
He just wins right now. Come inside, you see Sean Elliott. He can't believe it. Can't believe it. Taylor Wine got inside and underneath, running an extra blocker. And he just wins right now. That's the challenge. You bring in an offensive lineman, an extra offensive lineman that time. It just loses at the point of attack.
Demola Ajay Daya comes into the game, the freshman from Duluth, Georgia, given all the injuries that South Carolina has on their offensive line. And South Carolina went for it down here inside the 10 already and didn't get it. And here they are again inside the 3 on a 4th and goal. OU defense has only allowed 4 offensive touchdowns all year. South Carolina has been on OU side of the field 4 times. They have no points. And the offense is staying out there on this 4th down.
That's an 8th tackle for loss, Taylor, in this game by the Oklahoma Sooner defense. And a massive one at that to back up the offense. Now do you see, you go to try to get the football to their huge target in Nick Harbor. He's a built-in mismatch. He's at the bottom of the formation.
Sellers looks to the top. He throws to the end zone. Caught! Touchdown, Harbor!
We wondered. Harbor started out the right side of the formation. And you're right, Lenoris Sellers, he wanted to work left. He was trying to get it to his brother, it looked like. Instead, he had just enough time to come back to Nick Harbor, who worked back over the football. Hard guy to miss. We talked about it. A huge target and able to find his way in there for a traffic touchdown.
William Joyce makes it a 7-point game. Shane Beamer's team had to have it with 1:43 to go here in the first half.
Right, and you know, Oklahoma's been able to get home a lot. Watch Oscar Attaway He's coming in pass protection. Wow. You know, that's pretty handsy. Surprised. You've got two officials back there looking at it. Regardless, South Carolina maybe gets away with one, because that's what it took to have just enough time to come back to Harbor. Nowhere to go, trying to get it to Jaden Sellers to the left side of the formation. South Carolina needed it. They got it there, Taylor.
Matt, their offensive line, Shedrick.
For South Carolina, 49 is now 45.
Shedrick Surratt, their left guard, true freshman's banged up. Nolan Hay, one of their centers, is unavailable. Their right tackle, Kaysen Henry's not in the game. Brian Rowe not playing at receiver. So they go to Jaden Sellers today. The injuries are mounting for South Carolina, and that's just on offense. There are also defensive issues to deal with, Alyssa.
That's right, guys. Been telling you all day long about Dylan Stewart. He tried to come back in, then goes off. He does have ice on that hip flexor, and he will be out for the remainder of this game.
Just massive. And Desmond Umazulu, as you see Stewart without the shoulder pads. Umazulu has been in there. He's had to miss a couple of plays due to injury as well, but is back out there. As the Sooners are at the 25-yard line. They had a 3-and-out the last time they were on offense.
They're able to find a way to get him off the field. Only 5 yards gained that last offensive possession by the Oklahoma offense, and the crowd back into it after the touchdown.
Mateer will throw to Robinson out of the backfield, and Xavier is tackled up near the 30. And South Carolina has 2 timeouts left in the half. They will not use one here. Mateer, he steps up or tries to, throws, and it's a catch made by Robinson. And Robinson has a first down up to the 39-yard line.
Plenty of time as Oklahoma gets the ball first in the second half. They're trying to double up right here in this middle quarter.
Mateer gets out of there, flags down, and it's incomplete.
And correction, by the way, more urgency.
On the offense, number 56, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. The replay of first down.
Because Oklahoma has to find a way to try to do something with this one. What you don't want is that momentum to swing too much the opposite way. Holding penalty there, and it's been a dirty first half, we'll call it, from a penalty standpoint for Oklahoma. South Carolina, relatively clean game from a penalty standpoint. They've done an excellent job. The Sooners backed up repeatedly in the penalty game.
1st and 20 for the Sooners now at their own 28. Mateer keeping the play alive, throws, and it's incomplete. And there's a flag down.
Illegal formation on the offense. Number 56 was not on the line of scrimmage. That's a 5-yard penalty. That penalty has been declined. It will be second down.
And Matt, now as we were talking, South Carolina, as we said, will get the ball to start the second half. They still have 2 timeouts left here, so you can use those timeouts, assuming they don't give Oklahoma a first down, which was, of course, a problem earlier in this game.
And you see Oklahoma doing their best to go backwards here. Obviously wanted to do something with this possession, and in South Carolina, if they can find a way to get the ball back, they can double up.
Mateer, it's a line of scrimmage ball to Satania, and Isaac dives ahead past the 33-yard line. Gamecocks are not using one of those 2 timeouts. Yes, now they will.
Timeout, South Carolina. This is their second charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
And have 1 remaining. Trailing 14-7. It has been an up and down season for the Gamecocks so far this year. Beat Virginia Tech in Atlanta, beat South Carolina State, whipped at home by Vanderbilt. Lenore Sellers injured in that game. then lost at Mizzou. Matt, we were talking about that earlier today. They had every chance in that game. In the other Columbia, beat Kentucky in their last home game, and again, had one on their racket last week at LSU. The score was 20-10, but if you watch that football game on SEC Network, you know South Carolina in many ways beat South Carolina.
No question. Now you could think about, we talked about it, was those scoring opportunities that went uncapitalized upon, and who knows, so there's a chance here defensively at 3rd and 10 plus that Gamecocks can try to find a way to get the ball back. Sooners imperative that they extend this drive.
To get past the 48 to move the chains if you're Mateer. Wants to step up and throws it short, incomplete, and South Carolina gets to keep that timeout as the ball goes out of bounds.
Yeah, the clock stops. Now a decent chance, and we've already seen last 2 punts from Oklahoma have not been good. As you see, able to turn Mateer to stop his feet. Good job by Umazula, forcing him to stop his feet on that rollout. Mateer just couldn't deliver a catchable ball. And South Carolina's going to have a chance here offensively before the half.
And punting has been a problem today for Grayson Miller. Just 18-yarder the last time he went out there. And that's Vakari Swain with the bandaged hand, waiting at his own 22. Swain at the 15. He has 3 punt returns for touchdowns this year, and he gets it out near midfield.
And he did it with only 8 fingers, because he's got 2 of them that I don't think are very usable. Great job by Swain. I mean, he fields that cleanly, and he gets upfield right now, decisive. No dancing. Pick up those yards. So you think about that incomplete pass, clock gets stopped, you get a nice return, and with 27 seconds to play with and a timeout in your pocket for South Carolina, the ball at midfield and a quarterback in Lenora Sellers that can buy you time and hurt you with your legs, that's a tough spot for a defense. They have to be aware of the QB scramble.
32-yard return by Swain. Sellers throws underneath into Oklahoma territory, and Jacob Ulrich makes the catch, and Shane Beamer will call his final timeout with 21 seconds to go.
Look at number 52. Looks like shaken up a little bit is Nick Sharp, who's in there at left guard. And we mentioned earlier, you said Shedrick Surratt, who started.
Timeout, South Carolina. It's their final charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Surratt started last week, was banged up for this one. They said he was available, but we watched in warm-ups. He did not participate. You see Sharp there on the sideline. South Carolina, we said coming into this game, already had to make some changes.
Rodney Newsom has checked in at left guard, number 65. Gamecocks out of timeouts. Still need about another 15 yards to give William Joyce a good chance. He's never attempted a field goal longer than 49 yards. He made that one against South Carolina State. Need 13 yards to get to that same point. On 2nd and 3, Sellers another short ball and another catch made. It's a first down by Brady Hunt. Down to the 36, and the clock will stop with the first down, and South Carolina will try to clock it.
Both times, Taylor, where they're able to find right over the middle. So you had that timeout. You're hoping to get a first down on that previous catch. You don't get it. But because the first down, right, like you said, the chains have to reset time enough to get up there and stop the clock. You're not worried about the down. The clock is the issue.
Can't really get another play off here if the ball is short of the first down marker and you don't get out of bounds. So let's see what Mike Shula calls here on a 2nd and 10. Sellers throws, caught inside the 30, but short of the first down is Hunt. Clock's running. Can they get on the ball?
He had to get out of bounds right there. He either had to get a first or out of bounds. The one thing you can't do is catch the ball inbounds short of the first down and not get out of bounds. I think what Shane Beamer's arguing is like, look, he didn't give him a chance to get up, get reset, but the defense was holding him down.
Let's see what the officiating crew is going to say here. South Carolina's telling Oklahoma to come back.
That is the end of the first half.
Okay, never mind. There you go. Shane Beamer's not going to like the explanation. The catch made short of the line to gain. And it's 14-7 Sooners. South Carolina will get the ball to start the second half. And let's hear what Brent Venables has to say. He's with Alyssa.
Coach, you were just fired up with your team. How big was that last stop?
Yeah, I mean, it was really big. We had a great chance there to really take the air out of the stadium. And our defense is taking care of the ball. Some huge fourth down stops here today. So it's going to be a heck of a game second half.
What do you want to see more of from your offense in the second half?
Yeah, just more of the same. Ball control, staying in rhythm, creating big plays, just being efficient and being smart with the ball.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.
And his defense has been fantastic, especially in his own territory. It's 14-7 Oklahoma. Let's send it to Peter Burns in the Farm Ridge College Football Halftime Report. You're watching SEC football presented by Allstate here on SEC Network. Fun, food, fair, football, and all of it is fried.
That's 5 F's, pal.
He's the College Football Hall of Famer, Matt Stinchcomb. I'm Taylor Zarsner up here at Williams-Brice Stadium. We'll see Alyssa Lang in just a minute. Now, John Mateer, he had surgery on that hand 24 days ago. He's getting better and better, but he certainly can do that. Yeah. Hand it off to his OU running backs.
He sure can. I mean, he's 13 of 19 passing, but he's found ways to just get into some downhill runs. Right out of the gate, Torrey Blaylock, we talked about him coming into this game as a true freshman. Boy, has he been important to this game. Then, of course, Robinson able to get in there as well. So Oklahoma ground game that really emerged in the first half. They've already eclipsed their season average, and a big blow to the South Carolina defense. Dylan Stewart, standout edge rusher, hip flexor injury. That's on a third down. He came in and tried to rush and just went down on his own, really. Working his way off of the football field. We will not see him again here in the second half. And the numbers, Lenoris Sellers has been perfect, just hasn't been explosive in that passing game at 10 for 10.
Gamecocks will get it at the 25-yard line. Let's toss it down to Alyssa.
I caught up with Shane Beamer, guys, coming out of the locker room, and he said obviously scoring before they went into the locker room was massive for this team. I asked him about the message. He said offensively, we need to be able to finish drives. We can't be getting down to the red zone and not finishing. Defensively, they've got to get after John Mateer more and make him more uncomfortable. He emphasized forcing turnovers, something that when South Carolina is able to do, typically they come in bunches for this team, but an energized group after putting points on the board.
Thank you, Langer. Lenoris will hand it off on the first play of the second half, and Rasul Faison will get a couple of yards. Grayson Halton on the tackle. You know, last week, South Carolina got it inside the LSU 40 4 times and scored 3 points. Today, they've been inside the Oklahoma 40 4 times. They've scored 7 points.
Well, so they're gaining on it a little bit, but regardless, not as efficient as they've needed to be.
Sellers surveys and throws out of the backfield. It's Mazio Bennett, and Bennett tiptoes the sideline, a receiver from Greenville, South Carolina.
Taylor, that was the element of the offense that we anticipated seeing a good bit of. Getting the ball out quickly to try to negate Oklahoma's pass rush, ability to get upfield and move the line of scrimmage and allow your playmakers to get in space.
Haven't been able to get short yardage, and they can't get it here. Kendall Daniels tackles Faison. He needed one. He got nothing.
Just not much movement right in the middle of the defensive front. Big bodies just anchoring down. You've got to get some displacement. Big Jaden Jackson, he's just camped out. That's what allows it to happen. Doesn't make the tackle, but he's the one that keeps your linebackers uncovered, allows them to run up and make a play.
Oklahoma has 95 more rushing yards than South Carolina in this game as Mason Love puts his right foot into it for the third time. Satania drifts back and calls for the fair catch on a 51-yard punt. We talked about OU and John Mateer on offense. He's been fine, but he's let his running backs do all the work today. Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson scoring those first half touchdowns.
Well, Oklahoma's going to want to start this half off fast offensively. Their last two offensive possessions there in the first half, both of them resulting in punts. One was a 3-and-out. The next, they only got off 5 plays before giving it back to South Carolina. South Carolina couldn't capitalize on that final possession right before half. But they're starting to sputter a little bit offensively, and South Carolina able to get in at halftime and regroup. They've got a thin personnel on the defensive side of the ball in this Gamecock defense.
That's Satania, and they fake it to him. Mateer doesn't get much. Maybe 2 yards. You know, last week, John snapped a 10-game streak, Matt, of throwing and running for a touchdown. That's the third longest since 2000 in all of college football. He doesn't have a rushing or passing touchdown today.
Well, and only is really, I think, his second carry on the game. So they've been very judicious with how often they would give him the ball. Well defended by the Gamecocks. They stayed home, did not bite on that fly sweep motion to the perimeter.
Blaylock leaves the backfield. Mateer's in trouble. He throws, and Satania makes the grab. And he gets out past the 20, where Kilgore makes the tackle. And you just said it, Matt. Here's the difference in the game. This play coming up right here.
And the South Carolina defense did a better job towards the end of it. As you see Deion Burks late shift over there to the top of the screen.
Mateer on the design quarterback run. First down, Sooners.
Well, we talked about it. They picked their spots today, how often they wanted to run their quarterback. Already now twice early in the second half. You see what they do is he kind of bluffs. He did it last week versus Texas. Bluffs that now pass and gets downhill.
Mateer hands it off to Blaylock, and he'll get a couple. OU 6 of 9 on third down. South Carolina 0 for 7. Really the key stat in the game.
Big Monkel Goodwine was able to make a nice tackle on that one. Just an arm tackle, literally. That's all he had available, and that was enough to corral Blaylock. But as you mentioned, you know, he has powered this ground game, upsurgent ground game for the Sooner offense. We haven't seen a ton of rushing yards on the ground.
Mateer throws, Satania turns past midfield, and another Sooner first down. 19 yards on the reception.
It was a quiet start for Satania. The ball's a little bit behind him on that opening play, and he has been clutch ever since. Look at the run after catch capability.
Here's a run for Mateer. And John will take on tacklers at the 45. Fred J.R. Johnson tackled Mateer, and his helmet came off when he did.
Yeah, so now we'll see Michael Hawkins Jr. come in. Mateer has to leave the game with that helmet coming off. You see him, he's trying. Looked like there was a hole right up the middle. He's a little bit hesitant. I think if he probably just commits to that right side, he probably picks up more yards. Regardless, had to come out.
It's actually Witten Neubauer, sophomore from Raleigh, North Carolina, Cardinal Gibbons High School, up there in the triangle of North Carolina, who comes into the game. And the big 6'6" sophomore hands it off to Blaylock. And he doesn't get much. It'll be another third down. John Mateer kind of got that Baker Mayfield look with the headband, the bandana going.
Arm sleeve. Oh, Sooner fans would love to see that, right? You see him communicating to his offense, empty backfield. But regardless, as we've seen already on this drive, there's a runner in the backfield at quarterback. Keep in mind, as we mentioned, no Dylan Stewart available here in the second half for the Gamecock defense.
Mateer, another good ball, but Satania dropped it.
Wow, we talked about it. We hadn't seen that since the opening play. The chance for Satania to make this catch, working against Jalen Kilgore. It's there. He just doesn't secure it in this Gamecock defense. So 3 possessions in a row now where they found a way to get off of the field and force a punt by the Sooners.
And punting has been a problem today for Grayson Miller. Kari Swain has had 2 really good returns despite a dislocated finger. Kari will let this one go over his head, and that's excellent. Grayson pins the Gamecocks deep inside their 5. Oklahoma up a touchdown in their first trip to Columbia. Up next, Mississippi State at Florida in the Swamp. Dave Neal and friends there at 4:15 Eastern, and then TV Tommy and the crew are there on the plains of Auburn. Number 16 Mizzou at Auburn at 7:45 tonight. Also get it on the ESPN app. That's Mike Shula, great quarterback at Alabama in the mid-'80s, head coach there in the early part of this century. Quarterbacks coach in the NFL for 17 years. Offensive assistant last year for Dowell Loggins. Now he's the offensive coordinator for Lenora Sellers. And how does he activate this ground game? Rasul Faison gets 3 yards there on first down. Faison did have a 36-yard run, Matt, in the first half. Other than that, the Gamecocks have struggled to get anything.
Yeah, it's been a real challenge. You think about that touchdown drive. They weren't able to convert on either 3rd and short. They had to convert on 2 4th downs. They are right now 0 for 7 on 3rd down. They got to be more efficient on 1st and 2nd to get into more 3rd management.
2nd and 7 for Sellers. And another handoff and maybe a yard or 2 there for Faison. It'll be 3rd and 5. South Carolina had 50 yards rushing on their first drive of the game. -3 since.
A lot of it, when you think about that first drive, was the big run by Faison. Was able to rip off a big one, a 36-yarder. Here, you have to get this first down. We've talked about it a couple of times for Oklahoma. They were able to successfully operate their coming-out offense. The key is you have to pick up that first down, at least 1 for possession's sake and field position.
South Carolina's converted 3 4th downs, 0 3rd. Sellers hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. Pressure by David Stone there, and exactly what Brent Venables wanted on defense.
And again, the pressure was inside out. David Stone won. He was singled up on the center, able to win right now versus Boaz Stanley. And when you win inside out, it's harder for that quarterback to scramble. Sellers had to kind of hurry that throw. He's trying to get it to Nick Harbor and just overthrew it.
Love averaging 45 yards per punt. Satania is standing at midfield. It's a low punt, fieldable for Satania, back at his own 44. And tackled at the 47. Oklahoma up 14-7 midway through the 3rd quarter.
The 3rd Saturday in October, Alabama and Tennessee.
Gosh, that voice gives me goosebumps. The great Keith Jackson. Alabama and Tennessee tonight. Ole Miss and Georgia starting in just a little bit. All 16 teams playing each other in a good one on the west side of Nashville. Vanderbilt leading LSU. Vandy favored in the game, too, against the top 10 opponent. Watch that on ABC, under 10 minutes left. And that one, A&M on Arkansas's campus today. That's been a Arlington game for many years. Here, the Sooners nursing a 7-point advantage midway through the third. And their schedule is brutal coming up. The starting field position of the day for John Mateer. Good pickup by the offensive line there, and Giovanni Gibson on the catch. There is a flag that comes in at the end of the play.
Pass interference on the defense number 8. The ball be placed at the spot of the foul, and it carries an automatic first down.
It goes on Judge Collier. Stinch, this is the only team Oklahoma has left on their schedule that isn't currently ranked. The next 5 opponents that Brent Venables will face are.
We were talking about that for both these teams. Feels like kind of a must-have game when you talk about setting the tone for that second half of your schedule. Both of them have to find a way to get it done, because you stick your face in the fan. This all the way to the end now. When you look at that, Ole Miss, Tennessee is waiting on you if you're Oklahoma. Find a way to get back on the winning side of the ledger this afternoon.
26-4, the combined record of the opponents after today. That was the first penalty on South Carolina today. And Robinson gets a couple there on first down. We have not seen Jaden Ott today, Matt. It's been Blaylock, it's been Robinson, and both have been terrific.
It's both, exactly. They've been enough. You know, Jaden Ott got in that game last time versus Texas, and we've not seen much of him today. Haven't seen anything of him today in the lineup.
Again, Deion Burks coming onto the field late here on a 2nd and 8, and South Carolina's making all sorts of substitutions.
This is the game. So if you substitute late.
Oklahoma. This is their first charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
So the challenge is, right, if you sub, then the defense can sub. If you sub late in the play clock, then that defense, now they can't just walk, right? You can't just wander out there. But you also don't have to sprint either to accommodate the play clock for the offense, and that's the real challenge. We've seen that multiple times this season. In the offense, you better make sure that you're substituting prudently and early in that play clock, or you're going to end up having to burn a timeout. Oklahoma knows that. You see Ott there in the huddle on the sideline.
He had over 2,500 yards rushing prior to this year with the Cal Bears. 30 touchdowns there in Berkeley. And a couple of weeks ago, he appeared on SEC Network, had 49 yards rushing against Kent State, but just 1 carry last week against Texas, and I think it was a play where he didn't carry the football that got him in the doghouse. On 2nd and 8, Robinson leaves the backfield, and Mateer throws, and a nice catch made by Caden Helms with a defender all over him. That was Sean Murphy on the tackle.
A great job of looking this ball all the way in. Nice protection, clean pocket for Mateer to deliver a strike, but was just shy. Once again, a 3rd down opportunity. Big 3rd down for South Carolina defensively. 1 possession football game. Oklahoma has to know they've had opportunities to create some distance. They just haven't been able to capitalize.
Mateer on 3rd and 4 with time, throws, and it's almost picked off. Good defensive play made by Jalen Kilgore. Make the diving deflection, 4th down.
Kilgore was just kind of sinking back. You could see him, he had eyes on the quarterback in Mateer. And as he reads this, almost makes the play. That's twice now that Jalen Kilgore has nearly picked off the Sooner offense.
And Tate Sandell will come out to try a 55-yard attempt. That is his career long. He made it from the same marker 2 weeks ago against Kent State and Norman. And now he's done it in Columbia, South Carolina. Sooners are up double digits in their first ever trip to the Palmetto State.
Introducing SportsCenter for you, personalized every single day. Now available on the ESPN app. Powered by your favorites.
The State Fair of South Carolina, always an annual tradition going on while the Gamecocks are playing a football game next door at Williams-Brice Stadium. No surprise if you know Hunter Beamer, Shane Beamer's son. He's at the NFL exhibit showing off the cannon there at the State Fair. Shane, his dad, coming in. And look at Hunter. Hunter's going to work as a videographer here, evidently, for the Gamecock crew. We got the great SEC Network crew. We even have a crew here from the Tennessee Titans as well. But maybe Hunter can go to work for these guys. Hunter Beamer, Shane Beamer, Frank Beamer. All of the Beamers would love the Gamecocks to do something on offense here.
We got to find a way to at least maintain possession. You think about it, back-to-back 3-and-outs now to start the second half. It has been an inauspicious third quarter so far for the offense, and you just afforded excellent field position. Oklahoma didn't do a ton with that previous possession, but they took over at midfield. It's really challenging. You got to get beyond that third down. Still 0 for 8 on the afternoon on third.
Matt Fuller in the backfield. Sellers fakes in, wants to load up, throws the deep ball down there. Vandravius Jacobs is interfered with. Michael Boganowski.
Interference on the defense, number 25. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot, and it carries an automatic first down.
I don't know if Boganowski didn't know where the ball was, because he could have easily made a play on this pass. Sellers hangs this up. It was almost like he was letting go of a balloon. That ball was up there, just hung in the air. And Boganowski just panics at the end. Jacobs was underneath it. But it easily could have been Boganowski to turn around and make a play on that pass.
Yeah, I think Kip Lewis pressured Sellers there, and it's why the ball was so underthrown. But it's a 15-yard penalty, and South Carolina now at their own 40. Sellers to Sellers, and Little Brother tries to take off, and he gets a few yards. Lenoris handing off to Little Brother Jaden, who is featured prominently in today's offense for the first time, Matt, with Brian Rowe injured.
So it's supposed to be a throwback here. So you give it to him on the rocket sweep. You see Lenoris Sellers, the quarterback. So he ends up rolling out. His brother Jaden was looking to throw it, didn't like the look. It did have a defender that hung out. Didn't like it, didn't trust it, was able to get at least some positive yards.
On 2nd and 5, Lenoris on a little screen to Fuller. Matt will dive ahead near the 48 where Guillory makes the tackle, and here comes one of those other third downs you're talking about.
You're able to drop it off to Fuller. Does a good job of running through that first tackle just enough to fall forward for another 3 or 4 yards to get this to 3rd and short. But I'll tell you, we've seen this before multiple times. 5 times where South Carolina has had it for 4 yards or less to convert on 3rd, and they just couldn't get it done.
Ran all over LSU last Saturday night. Not the case here today against Brent Venables' defense. Sellers in trouble. And he just has to throw it away into the Sooner bench. Pressure by Mason Thomas and Kendall Daniels.
He didn't have any options downfield. Everything was deep right there. So when Sellers has to flush, as you see Mason Thomas coming around on that stunt, there's just nowhere to go. All afternoon, Oklahoma's done an excellent job of pressuring Lenoris Sellers inside out. It's not edge pressure that they're getting. It's right up the middle to force him to flush.
Mason Love will punt near midfield. You always have to pay attention to a Shane Beamer coach team when it's 4th down near midfield. And there's the fake. And there's the interception. And the Sooners will take over as Taylor Wine read it perfectly.
The Taylor Wine was all over. It's like you mentioned, it's 4th and short, it's midfield, and you can feel it almost. This is a prime opportunity, right, where if you're going to take a shot, the Sooners are all over this one. I mean, Taylor Wine almost looked like he was the intended receiver. You're trying to throw it to Nick Harbor. It doesn't matter. You can't win a 50-50 ball. You see Taylor Wine, he just dropped out. Saw that coming all the way.
If Taylor Zarzer knows it's a fake, then you know Taylor Wine knows it's a fake.
Well, you think, the head coach for the Oklahoma Sooners, coached at Clemson a long time. He's been on the opposite sideline of the South Carolina team, Shane Beamer. And we've seen it last week, previous 2 weeks, where South Carolina's been aggressive in special teams. And this time, cost them field position right here at midfield now for Oklahoma. 2 possessions in a row.
Sophomore from Brentwood, Tennessee. First career interception, gives the ball back to John Mateer, and Mateer will move forward about a yard. Troy Pikes on the tackle for the Gamecocks.
South Carolina defensively have performed relatively well. You see the rushing yardage generated by the Oklahoma Sooner running backs. You mentioned, obviously, it's been centered on Blaylock and Robinson. Mateer has contributed a little. The QB running game has not been big this afternoon, but the running game in general has.
And here's Blaylock.
Big hit.
It'll be third down, Alyssa.
I was just watching on the sidelines before the Oklahoma offense ran back on the field, guys, the way John Mateer is such a leader of this football team. And talking to Brent Venables before the game, he said there's no guy better to be leading a team on the road after a disappointing loss a week ago. You could tell after that last offensive possession, guys were a little bit frustrated. Receivers coming off the field, shaking their heads. Mateer went over, encouraged them. Their smiles on the faces as soon as they came back out on the field.
The intangibles you're talking about there. 3rd and 5. Mateer on a bubble. Gets it out there with flags down. Blaylock gets out of bounds. And he would have the first down, but let's see what's going on in the backfield here. Mateer's helmet came off.
Personal foul, roughing the passer on the defense number 12. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. Carries an automatic first down. The quarterback may remain in the game. His helmet came off, but it was due to the hit. First down.
Jatius Gear in the game, Matt, due to injuries to South Carolina's defense.
Yeah, top of your screen, working against the true freshman. Look, ball's out, and you got to know by now. Look, you can't go high on these quarterbacks. There are 2 sets of eyes. That white hat, the head referee, his responsibility is the quarterback. You're not going to hit him late and get away with it, and you sure aren't going to hit him high and get away with it. You're gifting the offense 15 yards.
Sooners inside the 25, and it's Blaylock who will get down past the 21. I realize that Oklahoma has committed 9 penalties today. I know Brent Venables would like to clean that up, but it just feels like his team has been in control of this football game from the jump. Their quarterback is most likely not 100% with his throwing hand. You don't see anything flashy going on right now with the offense that you saw last month, but just don't beat yourself, and the Sooners haven't done that today.
Done a good job protecting the football. It's the penalties, you're right, really the blemish, the biggest blemish, the mark against the Sooners in this one so far.
Mateer pumps, now throws, and he's got a man wide open, and it's Satania for 6. Sooners are 23 of 23 in the red zone this year with 18 touchdowns. The latest, a 20-yard touchdown from John Mateer to Isaiah Satania.
Been playing with fire this half. has South Carolina, and you see just a little bit of a pump fake, and Satania working against Gerald Kilgore on that far side. Able to drop one in there. Great job by John Mateer finding it, one of his favorite targets in Satania. Great look at it from the pylon cam. That's been a busy pylon. That's 2 touchdowns we've seen right over there.
You know, Satania had 3 touchdowns in 3 years at Arkansas, Matt. He has 4 at Oklahoma this year in 7 games.
And he's figured really prominently in this offense, really emerging in this game. You know, it's been a really quiet afternoon for some of the others. You know, Deion Burks, only the 2 catches in this game, and we mentioned no Keontez Lewis available in this contest. Giovanni Gibson there in the first half was getting a ton of targets. It's Isaiah Satania. Ball's gone to him 12 different times today. He's been able to come up with quite a few big catches for the Oklahoma Sooner offense, including that touchdown.
Saw him in the blizzard last year, the Arkansas-Missouri game, and thought, wow, coming back another year. And Coach Pittman said, well, if we can hold on to him, which is a big thing now in college football. Tomorrow afternoon, we have a special SEC women's sports doubleheader as Missouri hosts LSU in volleyball at the Hearn Center in Columbia at 3 Eastern. Then we have some soccer as number 19 Georgia hosts Auburn. Should be a great afternoon right here on the SEC Network and the all-new ESPN app. That's what the crazy thing is you know, today is such a massive day for the conference in college football, but every sport just litters the top 25 with the best teams in every sport there is. Oklahoma now in this conference, happy to be here. Lenora Sellers throws, that's too high. He was looking for Donovan Murph. Brent Venables' comments got some run earlier this week when he was talking about just how difficult it is to play in the SEC on a week-by-week basis. In the Big 12 then tweeted out his record in the Big 12 his first couple of years in the conference. 2nd and 10 now for Sellers in South Carolina. And Lenoris will throw short. Little brother Jaden is crushed by Reggie Powers, and flags come in.
Big hit. You can hear it. You usually hear those big hits. Officials are conferring. They're getting a lot of input from the Oklahoma sideline.
Personal foul, targeting on the defense, number 13. That play is now under video review.
Powers, the sophomore from Centerville, Ohio. And this is a huge call here, because if it is upheld, then next week he can't play the first half against Ole Miss.
Take a look at it. He's driving on it. I don't see targeting there.
In our entire lives, that's just a good, clean football tackle, but
it looks to me like he's leading with his right shoulder. I think that is an excellent example of what would be a form tackle. That was a good-looking hit. Looked like he got his head to the left. It was obviously a big hit, sure, but a clean hit.
Now there's such an emphasis, though, when you lower your head, and that's what gets everyone's attention. But this one looks
After
like
video review, there is no foul for targeting. Number 13 may remain in the game. It's 3rd down.
It's the right call.
Yeah, and I get why the flag comes out. Let the replay booth take a good look at it, overturn if necessary, which is exactly what happened.
It just has to be such a wild feeling now when you're ejected from a game for a moment and you know, gosh, I have to miss the first half next week. And then they come out and say, never mind, you're good.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the relief that Reggie Powers is feeling?
Thankfully, that was a really efficient review process that time. Not a whole lot of looks at it. It was clean. Big hit. You see Jaden maybe going to talk to his brother later and be like, hey, man, don't hang me out.
6-yard completion from one Sellers brother to the other. Lenoris will move the pocket against his body and throw, and that's caught It's thrown to Mazio Bennett, and he's short of the first down. It's a good catch on a ball that was thrown behind him, and Guillory made the tackles. And you would think the Gamecock offense would stay out there down 17.
Looks like they're going to send out the punt team. Try to play field position too far on their side of the field. The fans don't like it. It has not been a good day in short yardage scenarios for the Gamecock offense. They did have on that scoring drive a couple of nice fourth down conversions, regular downs. Offense was on the field, not on a fake punt like we saw on the previous offensive possession with the pick.
Delay of game on the offense, 5-yard penalty, and it's still fourth down.
You know, Matt, it feels right now like Shane Beamer's team is at a crossroads. Last year they were 3-3 coming into this football game and whipped the Sooners, causing all those turnovers in Norman. Won the game 35-9 and won the last 6 games of the season. But this team has a significant amount of injuries right now. Trying to find more issues.
Delay a game. Looks like we're going to get a
false start on the offense, number 23. That's a 5-yard penalty, and it remains fourth down.
You got procedural issues, injuries. Lost Dylan Stewart on defense in this game.
You're going backwards. All right, so now that's 10 yards in penalties. You can't afford to have it. They're not creating room for this punt. They're just conceding field position. It has been a nightmarish third quarter for the South Carolina offense and now special teams.
4th and 1 to 4th and 11 in Love. A low line drive punt that Satania can field. And more flags on the field.
Probably going to get a block in the back on the Sooners, so South Carolina might be able to recapture some of that field position they conceded on the delay of game and the false start.
During the return, illegal block in the back on the return team, number 25. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, first down.
In less than an hour, it's Mississippi State and Florida in the Swamp here on SEC Network. And then tonight, it's number 16 Missouri and Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium at 7:45 Eastern Time. Both available on the all-new ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Hard to figure who wins that one between the Gators and Mississippi State and the Swamp.
Yeah, you think about it, Mississippi State, near miss, overtime loss to Tennessee, albeit at home. In Florida, man, they're a different team in the Swamp, or can be. Haven't been always. How about what's going on in Nashville? Man, the Doors.
Tier hands it to Blaylock. Torrey gets up to the 35-yard line. The headsets are off in Nashville as we have the ESPN app up here in the booth. Over on ABC, it looks like Vanderbilt's a few seconds away from knocking off LSU.
How about that? They were a favorite for the first time in school history versus a ranked opponent. And they validated that confidence coming into the game.
On that last play, Torrey Blaylock went over 100 yards. He has 101. That's a season high for him. You don't have to snap it here if you're Mateer, and he will not. Sooners dominate the third frame.
That is the end of the third.
Coach Arbuckle loves it. You're watching SEC football, presented by Allstate. PB, the West End of Nashville is rocking with the Vanderbilt Commodores right now. I really think this is the best team they've had in close to 100 years. Here, Oklahoma leading South Carolina 24-7 as we start the fourth quarter. It's Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy that was in on that tackle. The Sooners have been terrific on third down today. They're 7 of 12. Meanwhile, the Gamecocks haven't converted any of them.
It really has been a great afternoon for Oklahoma offensively and defensively. Third down, in a lot of ways, been the story of the football game.
Low snap, and Mateer is going to drive a defender with him. Judge Collier right at the marker.
See where they spot him because he extended that football right as he was leaving the field. Collier forced him out. So I had to bounce that run. No room on the inside. Watch him extend the ball at the end. They say first down. It's great awareness by Mateer.
Doesn't seem like the biggest play in the game, but it just says a lot about this guy's nature. You know, Alyssa was just talking about how he's always trying to encourage people on the sideline. Just never would have thought that 17 days after surgery, he'd come back and play in the Texas game like he did last week as they hand it to Robinson. And Mateer threw 3 interceptions in the game. But the first thing Brent Venables told us when we met with him this week is you just wouldn't believe this guy on Sunday. After losing to Texas, the leadership that he showed the rest of his teammates. And he's proving it with the way he plays out there in the field, too.
Well, I thought it was interesting. You know, they talked about, you were asking him about what Cam Ward had said about him, about their time together at Washington State. Venables and Arbuckle said, look, he's confident because of his preparation, the time that he puts in to get ready for games.
Fakes to Xavier Robinson, keeps the ball, and gets down to the 45, Alyssa.
Yeah, one of the other things that Coach Brent Venables was telling me before this game started, you know, last week felt like he was pressing a little bit. Obviously, John Mateer did not get the reps going into Texas week, but he said, I also want him to trust in everything else around him. I don't want him to feel like he has to put all the pressure of Oklahoma football on his shoulders. While they trust him if he needed to, he wants him to know that the rest of the team has his back as well, and he doesn't have to be Superman all the time. I think we've seen a good display of that today.
What does he do on this 3rd and 6? He's pressured. That's the first time they've got him. Brian Thomas Jr. with the sack.
Well, we thought we might have seen more of this afternoon. South Carolina able to get pressure. No Dylan Stewart. Brian Thomas Jr. able to finally get home. That time, John Mateer, watch him drift back in the pocket. That makes it really hard to pass protect. You're working with your true freshman at left tackle. It was a real challenge in a big play for Brian Thomas to get Mateer on the ground.
The last thing you want to do here, Matt, is punt it to that man, Ricari Swain. See if Grayson Miller tries to play keep away here. Bringing pressure. Barely got it off. Miller's on the ground, and there's a flag down as well. It was an all-out punt block attempt by the Gamecocks. Initial call was running into the punter.
Running into the kicker. On the receiving team, number 13, that penalty has been declined. First down.
You see it here, and it's clearly off. You got to come on. You got to pull up a little bit. Didn't matter. They declined it.
It's all Sooners in South Carolina. Tomorrow at 1 Eastern in Chicago, former Sooner Spencer Rattler against former Sooner Caleb Williams. Of course, neither finished their career in Norman. Spencer finished it here in Columbia, South Carolina. He came here because Caleb Williams went to Norman. But then when that guy the Sooners don't like to talk about, Lincoln Riley, left and went to USC, Caleb Williams went with him. Rattler throws it, not Rattler, Lenora Sellers throws it forward to Nick Arbor. Hey, somebody that's probably very interested in all this talent is Jim Nagy. He used to run the Senior Bowl and did a great job with that down in Mobile, Alabama. And we used to have him on the show just about every single week, Stinch, evaluating talent for us. But he left the Senior Bowl and went to Norman, and he's OU's general manager. What a coup that is for OU to get him evaluating players and trying to help the roster. Sellers trying to escape. You just can't take a sack here. He gets rid of it. And into the bench. Pressure by David Stone and Kip Lewis. Sellers helped back up.
You know, this is an incredible effort that won't ever show up in the box score as anything other than an incomplete pass. But you see it just fighting off tacklers we talked about. It's just so hard to bring down. And he's just bouncing around back there. He's just not had many opportunities to extend plays. Oklahoma defensively has done an excellent job of keeping Lenora Sellers off of his spot and uncomfortable.
And he's in trouble here on a blitz by the Sooners. He gets out of there. And look at this athleticism. He dives near a first down. Owen Heineke couldn't get him down in the backfield. And Sellers' athleticism moves the chains.
You see just the effort, back-to-back plays, where it's almost a singular effort by the quarterback for the Gamecocks.
Venables keeps bringing the house, and down goes Lenoris. That's our Mason Thomas. Gamecock offensive line just cannot protect their quarterback today.
You see, you got a backup in there at left tackle, just no hands. Our Mason Thomas. Guys played a lot of football. Watch him just swipe that outside hand and able to shorten the corner. It doesn't matter how athletic you are. If you don't feel it, it's your blind side. It's hard to stay on your feet like he did the previous 2 snaps.
14 sacks in a year and a half of college football as Oscar Attaway carries the ball. What do you do if you're Shane Beamer, Mike Shula, and Sean Elliott to try to protect your quarterback? You have a number of backups that are out there on the field, including Damola Ajadeon, a freshman that's been pressed into duty out there due to injuries really across the board on this Gamecock front. 3rd and 17. Sellers has to dump it off to Attaway. Oscar, look at that effort to get the first down.
Outstanding effort by Attaway. And a smart call there. You're getting eaten up in protection. Drop a screen pass, try to slow the defense down, and outstanding run after catch by Attaway to try to buy some breathing room for the Carolina offense.
Sellers and Attaway, 2 terrific plays to keep the drive alive, and that's incomplete to Brady Hunt over the middle. Clock stopped with 8:31 left in the game.
Well, you think about even on this drive, so quietly South Carolina has found a way to convert some 3rd downs. So you're able to extend this a little bit, move the football off of some outstanding efforts by both Attaway and Sellers to keep plays alive.
Sellers, that ball deflected. It'll be 3rd and 10. It was Kip Lewis who got his hands on it. It doesn't matter who you talk to. Brent Venables, you talk to Trevor Sikkema, who's here for Pro Football Focus down on the field. You talk to, obviously, any Gamecocks fan. Anybody that evaluates talent, they tell you Lenora Sellers could be the best quarterback in college football from a pro standpoint. He's got to have time to operate.
Well, I think that last snap was the only snap of this possession where Oklahoma brought fewer than 5 rushers.
On 3rd and 10, Sellers, protection picked up this time and throws downfield, and it's incomplete. That was Vandravius Jacobs, covered up by Jacob Johnson.
Had a shot at it and actually had a little bit of time to deliver this shot. You know, that's a real challenge. You know, you want to go deep. The coverage is there. Jacobs wasn't capable of getting much separation. Jacoby Johnson playing deep and running with him hip to hip. And fourth down actually has been relatively good for South Carolina. 3 of 5 on their attempts.
Sellers on fourth down, gets out of there. He's going to have to try to run for it. He stays in bounds. He got it. Wow. Kobe McKenzie had a chance at him, but missed the tackle.
Well, one of the few times where you see a quarterback escape out the outside, he gets flushed out. Once again, South Carolina pretty crabby there on the edge, didn't matter. That's the part of his game, though, that I think that sets him apart. It's so difficult to get on the ground, running through tackles to pick up the first.
Crossing midfield, Sellers tries to get rid of it, instead goes down. Sacked on the play, and that's Adibarawa. Big PJ was there. Kendall Daniels also back there at the end of the play. It's a 5th sack for the Sooners.
You see that pocket just collapsing, and Adibarawa is down there around Sellers' legs. You almost have to be down there. If you try to tackle him from the waist up, he's not going down. You almost have to trip him up to get him on the ground.
They did give it to Daniels, though. I think you're right. I think BJ is the reason for it. On a screen. That's incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 18.
There is no foul for intentional grounding. Number 1 was in the area. It's 3rd down.
They let Dominic Williams through intentionally, trying to set up that screen, but Faison couldn't make the catch.
3rd and 18. He's already converted a 3rd and 17. That was on Lenora Sellers, dropping it off to Attaway, who was able to run after the catch. For the Sooners, throughout this possession, blood in the water. And you see that again, last time they showed this look, they failed and only rushed 3.
Timeout, Oklahoma. This is their 2nd charge timeout of the half.
How about the big game Oklahoma's next week against the Ole Miss Rebels? We'll talk about that in a moment. It's time now for the All-State Good Hands play. Brought to you by All-State. A fake punt by Mason Love that was intercepted by Taylor Wine. A little beamer ball at midfield. And a sophomore from just outside of Nashville in Brentwood, Tennessee, picked it off for his first career interception.
He read it well. I mean, you could see it. It's a well-schooled football team, and as we mentioned, a familiar coaching staff with the aggressiveness on special teams that you see sometimes out of South Carolina.
Brent Venables is bringing pressure all day, and Lenora Sellers is running for his life, and he's got no place to go, and he just has to go down. Sammy Omosigo.
He just can't hold up. So that's now 19 of 32 dropbacks. 32 dropbacks in this game, 19 times where South Carolina has been pressured or sacked. Coming into this game, it was 42% of the dropbacks that were pressured. That's the 12th tackle for loss. It's just been here when it's obvious passing situations, the worst possible scenario from a protection standpoint.
And this is like 4th and Anderson to go. Offense stays out there. Sellers will throw short. And OU will take over on downs on the Gamecock side of the field.
Just a challenging second half. And the opportunities were there, especially early in the 3rd quarter. You know, your defense came out and was building on the way they finished the first half. They just couldn't capitalize.
All Sooners today here at South Carolina. In good hands with Allstate. Beautiful day in Columbia, but it's all Oklahoma in this one. 131st season of OU football. This is their 1,358th game, yet it's their first in the state of South Carolina. How about that? 731 wins since World War II. That's the most, wow, in all of college football. There's 7 Heisman winners, 50 conference titles, all of their incredible history, but have never been to this state before.
Well, they have to be pleased with the showing. I mean, especially defensively. They've had Lenore Sawers running around like squirrel in traffic all afternoon, especially there in the second half, and continue to set this offense up.
Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock got him going today, but each scoring a touchdown on the ground. John Mateer has been terrific on third down. And they have another one here, up 17 late in the fourth quarter.
They've been outstanding. Doesn't matter. Here we're 3rd and 6 or 7 to go, and they've been excellent on this down all afternoon.
Ole Miss, that's an early kick. Next Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time on ABC. On 3rd and 7. It'll be 4th down as Robinson is stopped short. Georgia and Ole Miss, no score over on ABC right now in the first quarter.
South Carolina. This is their first charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout. Please reset the game clock to 4:34, 4:34.
Hey, just a reminder, after primetime game between number 16 Missouri and Auburn, we have SEC football final with OU's favorite son, Dari Noka, Chris Doring, and Benjamin Watson here on SEC Network. They take you through the biggest stories of the day and break down all the games. It's also available on the all-new ESPN app. We've had to say this a couple of times so far this season, and it just bears repeating. We've said this isn't your father's or grandfather's Vanderbilt Commodores.
No.
I've got a new one to say today.
Great-grandfather?
Well, yes, but this is a true statement, what I'm about to say. The Vanderbilt Commodores are very much a college football playoff contender.
Yeah. How about a conference championship contender? I mean, there's a chance that they end up in Atlanta at the end of this season. I mean, that's playoffs this year for this conference. That's almost it is definitely a lower bar to clear because of the expansion. We're talking about 4 teams, maybe 5 at the end of the year. Which 2 are going to get to or have to play in that SEC championship game? Maybe it's the Vanderbilt Commodores when it's all said and done.
And who knows? Maybe they play the Oklahoma Sooners in Atlanta. How interesting would that be? Texas made it there, of course, in their first year last year. This is OU's second season. This is a 4th and 6. And Mateer's going to do a little quick kick here. What else can this guy do?
Wow.
I mean, the guy has been outstanding at quarterback, and now he's punting it to the 1-yard line.
I was wondering what we're doing here. What's the plan on this 4th down? And man, John Mateer, Ben Arbuckle didn't mention this in his toolkit. He handles that snap and just doinks it on down there. Really well executed by Oklahoma. 4.5 to play in South Carolina. A thought here is you got to find a way to try to maintain possession, sure, but also you got to protect your quarterback a little bit. He has been harassed the last couple of possessions.
He has Matt Fuller that stands next to him in the middle of his own end zone. And Fuller's not going to get out. 2 more for the OU defense.
The ruling on the field is a safety.
Marcus Strong, we're going to give him the initial pressure there. Big number 99.
Well, watch him. He's going to work to his left and win right now. Gets upfield. Just a lot of backups in there. I got to tell you, the whole right side, backups. And you just think, how much of this throughout this game, we knew coming into it, it's going to be a real challenge. In South Carolina, they're going to have to find some bodies. They are a banged up football team along both lines of scrimmage. They might have a hard time practicing this week.
Meanwhile, Matt, this is very much a Brent Venables defense. He's the defensive coordinator and he's the head coach, and that guy has such a passion for coaching defense. Reminds a lot of people in this state of what he had in those Clemson fronts that played for national championships. He told us earlier this week, I want dogs. I want blue-collar guys that are accountable. Well, they put on a clinic today.
He's got some that these dogs insist on tackles for loss. I mean, 13 of them. So many negative yardage plays, 0 yardage plays. This defense has been outstanding. It's part of the reason why it's one of the better units in the conference and in the country.
Short free kick, and Sooners will take over at midfield. Tanya's had a good day. Touchdown catch of 20 yards and 73 yards receiving. He also factors in special teams. You know, we're talking about Vanderbilt's prospects the rest of the way, and there are a number of SEC teams that will factor into the college football playoff conversation. You have to think these guys in Crimson and Cream are part of that talk too. Schedule is brutal though after this. Whit Neubauer in the game to finish things up.
I like the way that kid spells his name. Got that extra T in his Whit.
I know another Whit that does that. And he gets a couple of yards. Robinson does there. Whit Stinchcomb, I'm sure, likes the spelling of Whit Neubauer, the sophomore from Raleigh.
Well, even if he doesn't, that's how it's spelled. Suck it up.
Whit Stinchcomb turned over, I'm sure, to the Georgia Ole Miss game a little while ago.
He was at that game.
Is he?
Yeah, this one's, as we kind of put it, you talk about the schedule going forward, and this one, it only gets tougher. We talked about it out of the top. Oklahoma, they've got a tough row to hoe all the way home.
Taylor Tatum in the backfield, and Tatum won't get much. So the Gamecocks now 3-4 on the season after this game today. And as hard as Oklahoma's schedule is, extremely challenging for South Carolina. They're on ABC here next Saturday against the Alabama Crimson Tide. And after Oklahoma's done with Ole Miss, South Carolina goes there to Oxford to play the Rebels. Number 4, number 5, number 6 coming up on the schedule.
Yeah, they both have to play Ole Miss. They both have to play Alabama. South Carolina picks up A&M. Meanwhile, Oklahoma gets to play Tennessee. It's just it's a brutal run to the finish line for both of these teams. We talked about they needed this win for that reason.
This is their second charge timeout of the half.
That was a
30-second timeout.
Fake to Jaden Ott, who was out there on that play, and Will Huggins made the catch and lost yardage. Ott coming over from Cal. Sooners enjoying this first ever trip to the Palmetto State. And this was a fair fight, Matt, at halftime. It was a 14-7 game. South Carolina got the ball first in the second half, and you're thinking, after all the momentum they had in the first half and their ability to get into Oklahoma territory, that we might have one that would go the distance, but instead it has been all Sooners in the second half.
Yeah, the Sooner defense, especially in the third quarter, I mean, just smothered South Carolina offensively, repeatedly getting those short fields. The ball's at midfield. Able to punch it in for that field goal to open the scoring in the second half. And it looked to be a low possession game. It was going to be a tight one. You didn't need a ton of scoring to have breathing room in this game.
Miller's punt. Fielded by Swain at the 14. And he's out past the 20.
I will say Swain he's fearless, that's for sure. We saw it in the pregame. The guy's got a banged up hand. You'd never know it, the way that he handled punt returns in this contest.
So it looks like Cutter Woods is going to go out there at quarterback for the Gamecocks to finish this one up. And that makes sense, Matt, as you were saying. Lenora Sellers has to stay healthy for South Carolina to have any chance in the 5 remaining games.
Yeah, I mean, and you've got you already had a bunch of multiple backups that were in there, even when Sellers was in the game on the previous possession.
And Woods, that's a good ball. It's caught by Donovan Murph for a first down up to the 35. Where he gave Anderson, South Carolina, a shout out in this game. That's where Cutter is from. Donovan's a freshman from nearby Irmo, South Carolina.
And if you're South Carolina, you're like, look, you're just finding a way to get some work in here in the waning seconds of this ball game.
And Woods, there's Jaden Sellers, who's gotten a lot of valuable playing time today. And that should take us down to the 2-minute
The ruling
timeout.
on the field is that the runner was down. Two-minute timeout.
6-7
Please reset the game clock to
Sooners.
2 minutes.
Let's take a look at today's Capital One rewarding performance. Torrey Blaylock with a season high with over 100 yards rushing, 101 to be exact. And that was a really big one early in the game on a 2nd and 20, and this is the touchdown runs, Finch.
He was really impressive, really all afternoon. They've talked about, the coaches raved about Blaylock. Young career, and already that career high at 101. Impressive afternoon.
Brother Woods somehow stayed upright. Two games over 100 now for Torrey, the true freshman.
Well, and he's a guy that's needed to step up for this Oklahoma offense. As we mentioned, they were expecting some other guys to contribute. He's proven to really emerge as that bell cow.
Woods continues to look good on this drive. It's another Jaden Sellers first down reception.
As has Jaden Sellers this afternoon. A guy that kind of got forced into service. Brian Rowe was injured for South Carolina. Add him to the list. A guy that they anticipated maybe trying to get the ball to a lot this afternoon. Instead, it's been Sellers that stepped up.
Plenty of time here. Incomplete. Looking for Donovan Murph. Just a reminder, coming up in about 10 minutes, it's Mississippi State and it's Florida from the Swamp. The odds makers expect a Gator victory there today. All sorts of distractions that team's had to deal with so far this season. But
wow, yeah.
Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State, they're 4-2 on the season, and this is a team that's significantly improved since he took the job. That's next on SEC Network. Woods gets out of there. And Cutter inside the 30-yard line.
Yeah, you said it, not a lot was expected from Mississippi State this year. And already, they've doubled up on their production win-wise from a season ago. Jeff Lebby's done a great job keeping that team together. Same could be said for Billy Napier and his crew.
Woods. It's a good ball and a completion for a first down inside the 25 with under a minute left to Murph. And then the nightcap tonight on SEC Network, at least going into the game, feels a lot like this one. Two teams that have exactly the same kind of situation. The road team has one loss. The home team is 3-3. It's Missouri at Auburn. Woods stands in there and throws an interception. Johnson picks it off. Junior from Mustang, Oklahoma. Throws the pick. Shane Beamer consoles Cutter Woods.
Yeah, it looked like some miscommunication between he and the receiver. Receiver breaks off the route. Malik Clark just kind of shut it down and almost turned into Jacoby Johnson looking like the intended receiver here. You see the confusion there. It wasn't even contested offense to defense. Instead, ends up being an interception. In some ways, an impressive drive for South Carolina offensively, trying to get that work in. And tough way to end that possession at the end of the game.
South Carolina had 54 yards rushing in this game. And Oklahoma lived in the backfield too. They had 6 sacks of South Carolina. They have won 87 straight, the Sooners have, when holding opponents under 21 points. Oklahoma improves to 6-1, and they'll host Ole Miss next Saturday in Norman. Ole Miss has the early lead in Athens over on ABC right now. Meanwhile, South Carolina will host the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Well, the story to me, Taylor, more than anything, this Oklahoma Sooner defense, real deal. Able to get up off the mat from a week ago and pick up where they had left off. A dominant side of the football for the Sooners.
And I know that 6 wins isn't the end-all be-all. That's the 27th straight year that Oklahoma has become bowl eligible. Georgia has the longest streak at 28. Brent Venable's team with quite the bounce back today after what happened at the other state fair last week.
That's right. They've been on the state fair tour, that's for sure. They didn't get distracted by any of the fried Oreos, stayed focused. And you know, for South Carolina, they got to find a way to regroup, get healthy. There's a lot of football still in front of them. No easy matchups left.
I want to thank Tony, Tim, Cameron, our entire crew for all their great work this week. For Kevin Maloney and Russ Moore here in the booth. For Matt Stinchcomb and Alyssa Lang. I'm Taylor Zarzer. Oklahoma beats South Carolina 26-7. Send you now to Peter Burns and the SEC Now crew back in the studio.